going to invert the image here, but basically I just drew a little thing, and I guess I was trying to give a visual representation. I've been trying to do visual representations of the mystery. Another one that I think is like, no problems here. I think this is like pretty, I agree, it's agreeable to me. It's not very contentious. Okay. So here in the middle, it's like all these different, like each arrow is like a different discipline, you know? And then in the middle is the mystery, and all of them are literally pointing to the one thing. So here you could have like poetry, philosophy, acting, whatever.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah. The reason why
I like is just like this. Just like, this is kind of philosophy. Is just like literally skirting around the mystery.
Yeah.
Like they're like, and the arrows kind of like, they hone in on the silhouette of the mystery.
Yes, right. Like God is the blanket we throw over it. It is the reason why I made that face when you held up all the arrows pointing in, because in a recent video that I was making, like trying to describe all of this to explain like why did I start the Cohere Collective to like help people ask these questions and confront this, was okay, if all of life is pointing to one thing, what is that thing? But also, and I showed this image of all the arrows pointing in, right? And I'm like, those are good and worthy pursuits. Mm-hmm. Is there a way to also turn those arrows around to make it expansive? And do these pursuits informed by the mystery? Right, exactly, and expand outward, and like this blooming, this flourishing. It's the Aristotelian eudaimonia,
it's a
right?
Gyre. Yeah.
But like,
I noticed you throwing in that Greek word there.
But, yeah, I use jargon sometimes. But like this expansiveness too, that I think sometimes all of these pursuits, and maybe a change in my thinking with this as well, with like, yes, I do think it's important to be asking what is that thing, but the reason why I think that's important is because of how that informs the way you expand outward, not constrict yourself and put bars around it. And that's what so many people are doing. Like, that's what these, like, dogmatic religions do. That's what anyone who's set in their ways, they're trying to constrict the mystery. And it's like, dude, as soon as you're trying to put parameters around the mystery, I think you missed it.
You've already missed the mark. Yeah. I love that. I think, for sure. Turning the arrows around. Because it's always a sort of movement. And, like, I don't know, I've been very entertained with Heidegger's idea of the circle, or the, like, circle. Sort of like the ontic and ontological. Like, it's not a formal difference, but it's sort of a never-ending oscillation between the two.
Right.
And, like, in his philosophy, like, it's a tension between the oscillation that he's trying to, like, kind of hold in balance, not dispel the tension, but kind of shine a spotlight on it, and also explicate those two sort of sides of the oscillation. And so it's like, I was like, ontological, is the mystery in the middle, or is this the mystery? I think the mystery is the movement of the circle itself. Right.
It's the moving target of it's in the motion. I agree. I think I was watching a podcast yesterday, 2 days ago. What day is it? Time's an illusion.
Wednesday.
I was watching.
Wow, it's not Wednesday. I said that way too confidently. It's Monday.
That's so funny. Time's an illusion. It's fine. You're always right, no matter what time it is.
You're always right no matter what time it is.
Right. When people say a broke clock is right twice a day, clocks are never wrong because time's an illusion.
Because there's lots of broken clocks out there.
Yeah. We don't know what time it actually is. You're right. We're in brain spaghetti portions solidly. Me when I confront the mystery.
Me confronting the mystery, be like,
yes. Oh gosh. Anyways.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, that's really okay. Oh, that's so silly. But I was watching a podcast about Within Reason with Alex O'Connor, who we were talking about a little bit ago, and the most recent episode, he interviews Professor John Lennox, who's a mathematician and a Christian, and I had some problems with what he said, but there was one thing he was talking about that I thought was so fascinating that was about the way that language, like we exist in a language-based world, and right? And
I had something else
there's no that the idea that you need a cell to get DNA, but you also need DNA to get a cell. There's a chicken or the egg with the information within the fundamental building blocks of, like, biology, right? And DNA at its core.
Circle.
Yeah.
Sorry,
right? And holding the tension there. No, I completely agree. And holding the tension there, and it's the information, like DNA fundamentally is a language of information that is building us and who we are. And his assertion is like, so this is proof of God, because you need some sort of like unmoved mover to describe, to like assign the language first. And I'm like, I'm not anti like belief in God by any means. I'm more like, I think God and not God are actually the same thing in the way that it is the tension in between the two, which that's such a much larger conversation. But I'm like, there is something in the back and forth between this whole, the unity like we were talking about, and the individual that is like DNA is that fractal of information that is being languaged to the cell. In the way that the cell is also necessary for the DNA to express. Like, the subjective is also necessary for that whole there. That was a lot of weirdness. I don't know if that...
I think I know what you mean. And this is actually a point that I wrote it like a couple months ago, but I'm actually already kind of disagreeing with my own argument in the paper we read for last week. Well, I guess I didn't really give my... Well, I kind of did, but, like, this idea that language, or the fact that we are a dialogue in the sense of, like, we're kind of a conversation with ourselves, like this self-reflexive, self-referential sort of existence. Being a dialogue in that way is what constitutes the difference between, like, ontology, or, like, what constitutes the ontological difference. What allows me to differentiate myself from you, other people, animals, and inanimate objects, but... I think that's also kind of a circle where it's like, does language constitute the ontological difference? Or is the fact that I already feel this separation between myself and others and other sorts of beings that forces me, necessitates an attempt to understand that separation in language? Like, is language the way that we try to... understand that difference? Like, is the difference fundamental, or is it a unity that we are breaking apart with language?
I think that's has to be both, can of words, right?
Yeah, I don't think it can. I don't know. If I had to give an answer now, I think I would say it's both.
Yeah, everything is everything, man. And
the analytic philosophers aren't gonna like that, but
no,
the logicians are gonna be mad about that. But
the logicians aren't. Hey, logicians, let us know.
Shout out logicians.
You mad? You mad?
Mad logicians, go off in the comments if you're a mad logician.
Mad logician army, rise up.